Is there a link that I just want to
If you
post on a?
can't beat 'em, then you pop 'em. You can't man 'em, then you mop 'em. You can't stand 'em, then you drop 'em. You pop 'em, cause we pop 'em like over red and vodka. C3, okay, a millionaire. I'm a young money millionaire.
Welcome back to Midweek Markets number 2. And we have our old friend, KT, aka the ProblemSniper, one of the best options traders I've ever met. We still haven't met in person, though. We got to make that happen. But just a true gentleman. I've known him for years now as well. So, KT, welcome to Midweek Markets.
Thank you. Really appreciate you bringing me on. It's been a while. We chatted and talked about the markets in general. So it's great.
Yeah.
It's nice to be on.
It's been a long time coming because I was like, I love Bitcoin. And so that's obviously the main thing we talk about on a week-to-week basis. But we launched Midweek Markets because I was like, we need to talk a little bit beyond Bitcoin, especially as there's this convergence happening, with TradFi, with digital assets. And so brought my amigo here as well. We got Jody, the co-host. You want to say what up, Jodes?
Yeah, big fan. KT is a great follow. So if you're looking to see what's going on in the market, sentiment, I think what people don't realize is that stocks go up, but are you willing to pay the premium that is assigned to the options? And there's so much to learn with how option pricing works. Don't get ahead of your skis buying things, very expensive options because you like Elon Musk. But look and see, or you like, Sailor and you like strategy, but know that there's a very, very rich premium. And that can collapse. That can collapse really quickly. So I think anyone in the audience that is new to options trading, it's great to follow someone like KT early, see his mentality, see his mindset, see him walking away from markets. And I've followed him and I've seen him days where he's like, look, guys, like it's washed out both sides. Just step away. Like, yep. I know what I'm doing. And I don't know the right play today. And the best play sometimes is no play at all. Yep. So I think there's a lot that people could learn, as we get more into this like hyper financialization of, people on Robinhood, just, exploring options. There's so much education. You should really need to do like 3 to 4 years of education to really understand the basics of like,
how they move
as a whole. So really appreciate what you're doing.
What's the for those that don't know you though? I mean, we do have a few people coming in that probably have not met you. Don't just I'll say this firsthand. Like I was kind of the furu on pounding the table. I was new to the space. Tony was kind of like the guy that knew what he was talking about. But like people come and go for sure, right? Yep. And you've seen a million, especially during 2020. Everyone was a furu. Now we have AI to like amplify that even further, where they could sound educated, right? But through the storm, you've been like there. You've earned every single follower that you've had. And then we found you at like 2,000 or 3,000, and now look at you. You're well over 100,000 and growing. So what's your background though? Like how did you get into this space real quick? And like how long have you been doing this? How'd you fall on your face, learn things, etc.?
Oh, I fell on my face a lot. So, anyway, I did come here to do my master's to America, and then quickly got into research, and that's where I also was like, oh, I have some money for disposal, and let's start investing. That's when I started investing in good companies that I use, right? Like Apple iPhone back then was huge, right? Like you remember, if you did not have an Apple iPhone, they would look at you like, oh, you don't belong with us kind of thing. So that's when I started investing in Apple. And then, 2017 was another big time for me because of I bought a Model 3 back then. And I was like, oh, this car is amazing. And that's when I pivoted all my money into Tesla also. Obviously, I did not get the AI boom on Nvidia, but, all through these years, as I was growing myself, becoming an engineer, getting a full-time job, then starting up a startup and things like that. I had some money for disposal, and that's when I started doing these options trading. And I hit up really big on one of these things on Tilray back in 2017. I bet
Tilray, that's a name.
Yeah. Overnight, made a lot of money, and I went and bought my first house. And that's when I was like, I did options trading back from 2013, but, that was my biggest hit. Like, it took me 4 years to actually be profitable per se. I mean, I wouldn't say Tilray was my biggest hit, and that's when I became profitable. I became profitable the previous year, and then Tilray was just, I wouldn't say luck, but it's about the grind, right? Like you tend to be at the right place at the right time when you have that grind and the discipline to stay in the market. You have to stay in the market, and then a hit Tilray. 2019 was 2018 ending was kind of bummer with all the interest rates and things like that were happening with Trump and Powell and the China war and all of that, and kind of lost some money there. But then stayed in the markets. 2020 came, looked at the opportunity.
Mm.
Bam, that was the turning point of my life, and I've been through my share of people who really helped me through my journey. Like I've been in a lot of trading groups and things like that. I've been with Sniper Trades for quite some time before also, and that's where we kind of met also. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's just trading groups, trading forums. Wall Street Business is a great forum too, but obviously there's a lot of noise up there now. Just choose one trading group and learn how to go about it. And that's how I got into options. And but mostly I also focus on like what Jody said. Like yes, it's great about knowing when to pay the premium, but also you have to have a long term portfolio and a short term portfolio, high
Hmm.
risk, low risk kind of thing, right? Like you have to balance it out. So I have a long-term investment portfolio, like a short-term invest. Like I always recommend people that
Hmm.
keep them separate. Like when the market like kind of crashes or there's a huge dip, like we saw in March, February, March, and I know most people like I remember back in March and April, everybody was like Tesla is going to 100, sales are crashing. But then why do you not miss the rest of it, right? Like they have a vertical that's on solar. They are solving one of the biggest engineering problems out there on AI and things like that. So it's a mix of all of this. Like I do technical analysis. I read between the lines of what's happening in the market right now. Like there's a bunch of things that I do right now. Like and that's how I'm very fascinated by the market in general.
Yeah. I mean, there's people that, watch the macro, the news, I know a lot of options traders are watching the chart and price,
Yep.
that's ultimately,
Momentum per se. Yeah.
and there's a million things that I personally can learn from you. I always say I'm all heart, no charts, but
Yeah.
you learn very quickly that the charts can be your friend. And the beauty of options trading too is you can hedge your position. If you have a massive Tesla position, it's going
Yep.
to go down for a month or two. You can buy puts. There's a million things I've learned from you
Covered
over the
calls, cash
years.
secured puts. Those are even better.
Those are even better. And I think that's kind of we'll get into that a little bit later when we talk about Bitcoin, because I think a lot of
Yeah.
the whales are doing that right now. It's just
Mm-hmm.
suppressing the price. But let's start with the macro. We got the SPY and QQQ. I think I was just looking. QQQ is about 1.6% down today. About 1% here on the SPY. Sure, this is not necessarily the Trump markets of 2020 where you could throw a dart and everything was just going up. It felt like that when he first got elected. We got that initial pump, and then it's kind of been down overall. But what are you seeing? Like there's a lot of this conversation. The title here is the tech exit. I remember listening to the All In podcast probably a year ago where they started talking about this. Some of the SaaS platforms are not as strong anymore. But what are you seeing from a macro perspective? What are the things you're watching right now? And yeah.
Oh, well, there is fear, right? Like all the AI bubble fear. Obviously, not all companies will survive for in the next 3 to 5 years. That's definitely sure because they are not making money.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're picky, right? Like even Palantir CEO said, not all investments in AI are going to be successful per se. But like everybody's like buying Palantir, whatever that is, because they see all these investments going in and they think Palantir is the next big thing that's going to blow up or something. But they had their rise, right? Like it's a great company. I'm not saying it's not a great company. I'm just saying we are going to see a shift of where people will say, "Oh, AI, this is not the path I want to go to. This is the path that I want to take." There's going to be a lot of pivots that are going to happen, and
Mm-hmm.
what happens to the money invested into other segments that they have invested in right now, right? I think when people say an AI bubble, that's where my mind stops. That's where my understanding stops. Yes, there is going to be a waste, right? Like you did invest some amount of money there, here and there, but if you can find that pivot that makes you a lot of money, you have a next Oracle or you have the next Nvidia or whatever, right? Like Nvidia was once a company that was going to go bankrupt in 30 days, right? Like if you, I don't know if you know the story,
I don't know that. No.
they had to give a chip to Sega, and they were creating square, like they on their GPU platforms they were basically creating square typed um, um, something on the chip, right? Like, but then when Microsoft released their OS, they all had to be triangles. And then Jensen
Hmm.
went to Sega and he was like, "Hey, this is not like." He had two choices basically. He can bluff Sega and say, "Okay, let them fail," or he can say. And survive my company and make let my company stay there for the next 6 months or 8 months or whatever with the money they give, or I go to Sega and tell them, hey, this is a mistake, I want to go back and fix it. So he went all the way to Japan, fixed it, and told him this is not going to work. But he said, well, even if it does not work and we have worked on it, so I want the money that you have promised me. Instead of Sega suing him or whatever, they gave him the money, and that's how Nvidia survived. And they did the right thing, pivoted to the right methods that they had to follow, and look at where Nvidia is right now, right? So I think most of
Wow.
these companies will be like that, right? Like they have the investments made, they have things that are going on, and obviously America also realizes how fast or how ahead they want to be in the AI race. So the initial pump that we have seen in the last 2 years at least is basically because of that, right? Like there's so much money flow that's going into all, everybody is like, oh, AI, here's my money.
Yeah.
Now people are getting very picky. They are like, oh, what are you doing with AI? Tell me what is your product. Tell me what your
Mhm.
revenue model is. What is the, they are talking about that. That's why people are basically talking about the AI bubble is how I see it.
Mhm.
But when you pick good companies like Oracle, right? Like they are a good company. That is a company that AI needs, right? Like, because where are you going to put all that data? Where are you going to put all the data that you are training on, right? Like all of
Mhm.
these are good companies. You have to invest in such companies, according to me, right? Like and 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 also look at the track record of companies, right? Like for example, Tesla. Many people say, oh, all this is fluff. Whatever is happening is all fluff, right? But
Mhm.
then look at okay, I understand Elon Musk says there's a particular timeline. He does not meet those timelines, but then he's meeting the product. He's meeting the demand for what he has promised, right? So when he launched the Model 3 was a pivotal moment for Tesla, right? Like SX great, but then 3 mass production is where things are. Like when I look at Rivian, it's the same thing. Like I know Rivian, everybody is looking at as it as an electric truck or electric whatever. Now with their autonomy thing that they have that they talked about a week back. I'm just so interested in Rivian right now. Like, what are they going to do with the
Hmm.
partnership that they have with Amazon? Are they going to create a vertical where there are going to be self-driving delivery trucks out there, where the truck comes in right in front of your house, stops there, you just go take a package, or they are going to use robotics with self-driving, right? No, a classic where a robot just comes. Like uh, at this point, robot does not have to like run 100 miles an hour, right? It just can
Mhm.
get down the truck, pick the package, put it in front of your porch, and just leave, right? It can be done in like 2 miles per hour. Very basic use case. And is that what Rivian can target, right? Like there's a vertical that Rivian can do. Like things like these, you have to look at the track record of the companies, and you have to invest in the right things. I'm not a huge fan in investing in companies that have negative cash flow. That is
Mhm.
definitely for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I would follow the trend. I would do that with options, but I would never do that as an investment per se. So on the
It's a
macro
good,
perspective,
key
that's where
point,
my
though.
mindset is.
I think that's a key point. There's a different mindset. Like, ride the momentum with
Yeah,
options, but it may not be, more than a week. It could be,
yeah,
6 months or whatnot.
yeah.
Going to the first topic here. So the SPY and QQQ. I don't know if you have a chart here at all for this
Well,
one,
yeah,
but
I do. I
okay,
I can I can share my
perfect.
chart. Yeah, I can share my
Um,
chart. Let me share it.
and then we'll definitely get to Bitcoin because it's not only under 100, it's under 90 now. We're in the 85 range.
85 range. Yeah,
So
share screen.
And then as it looks like we have a few comments too, but for those listening, I know we got about 2,500 or so in here right now. Do you own Rivian? Is the first question.
Yeah.
He does. So yeah, if you guys are listening, it looks like on Twitter, on YouTube or whatnot, we do see the comments, and so we'll try to pop some of them up if you guys have questions throughout the show. Like, maybe we can get to some charts later on too for specifics, but definitely want to go through the run of the show. But we'll hit up some Q&A here at the end, so feel free.
Yeah, so I mean, SPY. When I look at it, when I look at SPY, I just feel like this was the trend line that we kind of broke out of. This was the double bottom that we had, and the neckline that we broke out of. Very nice trend line here. This is the reason why I think 672 will not break. Can you see my screen, by the way? I don't know.
Yeah. I think we just changed it so it's a little bigger.
Yeah. Oh, it's a little bigger.
Yeah, I can see now. No, I think you're good. Maybe if
Okay.
you want to like zoom in a little bit, just because it's
Okay.
small.
I
But
can do that. Is
There you
that
go.
good?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
we're good.
So that is the trend line. Why this was the trend line from back in, like, a while, November, and like October to November, October highs to November, and then we broke out, retested it, and went all the way highs. Right now we are retesting it. This is also the reason why I think 672 will not break. And when I look at SPX per se, we have a huge gamma ball that is being built up at around 7,000 on SPX. So usually when people talk about Santa Rally, they think all of December is Santa Rally, but that's not the case. It usually starts from 15th of December. That's when the stocks kind of bottom if there's a dip, and from there on we see a little bit of a ramp up in the market. So is it possible to have like that 200 points, 300 points going into the end of the year? I mean, looking at the market right now, I think it's kind of possible with the way that it kind of moves and stuff. But this is partly the reason why I think SPY 672 will not break and will probably head back higher. Um, Even looking at the daily chart, I was talking about this quite a bit, where the 650 to 653 is like a huge buy zone. If we kind of dip all the way there, if we do dip there, I mean I'm not thinking we'll dip there at all this year. I mean, we just have like 10 trading days left. But like if we again dip there, that's where I'm going to buy it again on SPY.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anything from like a macro perspective, news that you're kind of waiting for? I know we have. I think that's one of the topics here we got coming up, but on Friday, I think it's on Friday, we got
PCE. That's a big one, right? Like I think like what you mentioned also, the inflation trap. I think Powell is also scared about it from his previous speech. Obviously, they did start QE. They are cutting down rates and things like that. But I think he's definitely worried about that. But something that he also mentioned is if we don't have any additional tariffs, PCE should go down in the next 3 or 4 months, because again, it's relative, right? It's month over month. So it's a one time spike because of all the tariffs and things like that that's going on. But I mean, as per me, I definitely see the effect of tariffs already the last month and this month. So inflation is going to tick up a tad bit, I believe. But which is it a concern? I think Powell kind of neutralized it quite a bit in this last FOMC.
We just had a comment come in from I think it's a Bank of Japan rate hike on Friday.
That I'm more worried about than PCE.
Yeah, that seems like it. Japan's been in the news quite a bit recently, so that will be interesting.
I think that's also the reason for the weakness in Bitcoin.
You think with liquidity?
Yeah. Jeff Park, maybe I can pull that up, or Jody, if you want to try to pull that tweet up, talks about this, where it's a lot of the Bitcoin whales. I think it's selling covered calls right now, and so it's like suppressing a lot of that price. But there's some big news coming. I mean, the Schwab is going to introduce spot trading. I think it's January 15th around. Bank of America is allowing, all their bankers, people can go and buy it there. And then what's the other one? Schwab. And then, Vanguard, the biggest one too. Vanguard. So this is trillions of dollars now that could potentially flood into the market for Bitcoin. Granted, it's like 1 to 4%. So those $11 trillion you're hearing about, it'd be potentially 1% of that. But it's interesting. Real quick,
I think to win the giveaway, I would say both. Right? I don't know if you actually have any open Rivian options, but you're holding like spot, and then you were trading last week. Rivian.
Yeah. Bitcoin, Avi, I think it's a great chart. It's a clean falling wedge trend line that's happening. So when this thing breaks, obviously it's going to ramp up very, very fast to all-time highs. So I'm just watching this upper trend line. That's the upper trend line that I'm watching. That's all I'm doing. I'm not even looking for where it bottoms. I want to play the momentum on this with options. That's how fast it'll ramp up once that upper trend line breaks.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you go on Bitcoin Twitter is its own little world. FinTwit's its own world. But, you listen to some of the smartest people. Everyone's saying, like, the Santa rally is going to be very real for Bitcoin. It's about to explode. So we'll see. I mean, I've been buying just DCA every single week, for the past probably 2 years. So,
and your target for this break is around 96, right?
It's around, I would say the horizontal line about 94 is what I would say. But this upper trend line is a falling trend line. So currently it's somewhere around 90K.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
This morning we had it was like a run up from like 87 to 90 and like was tapping it, and then immediately,
that's where you see the 9 and 20 EMA right there. Like that's the momentum indicator for me too. When the 20 is above the 9, that's where it becomes a strong resistance. So your momentum is not there to the upside. And usually what happens with Bitcoin, from what I have experienced before, you see the 9 and the 20 cross up, like the 9 crossing up the 20, and then it breaks the 94. It like ravages up in like 2 or 3 days. You'll see like 10,000 points or 12,000 points on Bitcoin. That's how it moves.
We missed those candles. It's been a while since we've had those days. So hopefully they do come back. You were talking about Nvidia earlier. Some of the big news that just came out. They launched Nemotron 3, signaling a massive push into AI software. So not just chips, which is pretty interesting. Analysts are shifting focus to the H200 chip demand and the Vera Rubin architecture coming in late 2026. And amazing story you told about Nvidia. I did not know that. And then I was thinking in my head, like Tesla, obviously, people were talking about them going bankrupt forever. And then my favorite story is FedEx. He was down to like his last $5,000. Goes to Vegas, gambles it. Literally, FedEx, as we know it today, could not exist had they picked the wrong number or whatever. I forget what game he played, but wild stories from this. But what are your thoughts on this software pivot from Nvidia? I mean, it's the one stock. I got to give credit to Dom Rinaldi. He was pounding the table back in the day. I had like $20 on this. He talked for hours on YouTube, and I remember selling it. I bought it with him at 20. I think I sold it like 60, and then I just kept, looking at it, and I was like, holy shit, this thing's got to stop at some point. But it's been like, the chart's crazy. If you zoom out, it's like one of the craziest charts of all time. What are your thoughts on this? Yeah, look at that. And in my head, I say no matter what asset it is, anything that goes straight up eventually comes down. But now I've added, unless you're Nvidia, then maybe not. But yeah, so the trend line's coming down a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about Nvidia here.
Yeah, I mean, Nvidia, like just to give you the I bought Nvidia at 75. 2 splits back, and I sold it at 115, 2 splits back. So,
all right, so you're there with me.
So I'm there with you. I missed that entire thing, but all that money was in Tesla, so it's fine. But as Nvidia as a company, what I love seeing about companies like Nvidia, Google, Amazon, Apple, Tesla is the verticals they build, right? Like it's great that you have all this hype that you create with one product that you have that you worked on, and now it is in full demand, right? But then something that Nvidia has been doing for the last 2 years is I just treat Nvidia as a company like an ETF now. Like it's just like Google, right? Like they do a bunch of stuff. Like they're into medical software, they're building medical devices for automation, they're doing robotics, they're building chips, obviously. They're doing a lot of things under the hood, right? Like it's not just one business that people say, like I had someone tell me, you know what, Amazon is coming with their own chips, with Google is coming with their own chips. One day, nobody going to buy Nvidia chips. Sure, fine. I mean, Apple makes their own chips and they don't even sell any of their chips outside. Nvidia can do the same thing with what they are building right now. They are investing, diversifying themselves into something else. Like, it's a company that will, I mean, is it overvalued right now, undervalued right now? I don't really care. But the way I see it, if there's a big enough dip for me, like somewhere around 150, 153, or 145, some in that range, that is where I would definitely buy the stock, because uh, of how well they are managing all that diversification and are so forward thinking on their growth. I think, Avi, I think you mentioned their revenue is up 63% year over year still, right? Quarter over quarter, year over year still, which is amazing for a company which is $3 trillion worth, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
crazy.
$5 trillion worth. So, I mean, that's how I see Nvidia. And right now, if you look at the short-term picture, I think it's kind of creating a falling wedge setup, which is kind of bullish setup, right? Like, when you get that reversal pattern, when you see that upper trend line break, well, something that I call very famously the peekaboo setup, right? So,
We've
I
seen the
mean, can it
peekaboo. I've
drop to
used
like,
the peekaboo outside of you as well on just like another stock. I was like, oh, like I see that popping over the wedge. Like
yeah,
it's time to look at it and pay
yep.
attention.
Yeah, that's a great setup for options trading, because you get the momentum, and I think the machines just churn for with buy algorithms once there's a peekaboo kind of thing. Right now, I think Nvidia, it can fall up to 164, 165, but I am looking for, if I want to add the stock, I would be looking for somewhere around 150 to 145. 145, I think, is a definite add on Nvidia. 145, 140 range. But if it kind of breaks out of that 175 or so, I'm looking for a play to the upside.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
mentioned Nvidia's 5 trillion. Then I think before the call we were talking about you believe 5 AI companies, if I remember correctly, will be $1 trillion companies. Is that like you think,
Oh,
obviously not a
100%.
bubble, but you think like there's going to be some big winners that are going to
Oh,
come
yeah,
out?
100%. I absolutely, I think 2027, 28, when we look back, it's like this is the same thing that I laugh about, right? Like, when I still remember very precisely when Apple hit 900 billion, I think people said there is never going to be $1 trillion company, and Apple will never hit $1 trillion. And then it was close to $1 trillion, and then it dipped like all the way to 850 billion or something like that. And they were like, see, I told you so. What?
Yeah.
Where is Apple right now? Right? And I
Yeah.
was still buying, right? Like, back in the day, I was still buying 850 billion. Doesn't matter. Apple is going to be Apple in 10 years, right? So that's going to be the norm. I think what Elon Musk has been talking about quite a bit also is money is going to be irrelevant because of this AI boom, right? It's just an infinite money glitch kind of
Yeah.
thing. So when it's an infinite money glitch, would you want to put your dollars in a bank for 2% interest rate, 3%, 4% interest rate, or do you want to be in a company which is part of this infinite money glitch? Right?
Hmm.
That is partly my mindset of why I love Tesla so much. That is partly why I love Nvidia so much, why I love Google so much, because you know these are companies that can produce that infinite money glitch.
Hmm.
So, question
So
on that. I think you had mentioned it. You saw call flow. It might have been 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Google 2027 600, and you were like, "That's a $6 trillion company. Like they're
yeah,
betting on it, being that size, 6-7 trillion."
yeah,
And it is a shift in how you think. But Google has such a, they have shifted, right? Like Gemini is now the best LLM. Like
yep.
definitively, like most tests show that for most applications, best LLM. You're like, whoa, okay. They messed up at the beginning. They're, too much in their models was like totally off base. But then now they are, have so much data to be able to compete. And they have so much really like global infrastructure that most people don't have.
which
What do you
which ChatGPT can't beat also, right? I'm a software engineer, right? Like, I myself was an AI engineer before AI was really cool to talk about. But it's like this. Big companies like Google, Apple, they have so much compliance. They can't move as fast as ChatGPT can.
Hmm.
But once they get there, right, like when you talk to anybody higher up on in Apple, you're like, you can tell them, oh, you're so far behind the AI race, but then they'll be like, we still have like a 5-year or a 3-year runway, and we can still be there because they have the ecosystem locked down. You have users already on your platform. So for ChatGPT or anybody out there, they have to create this whole app to have users on there. But then, how long can they? How long can they? How long do they take to create that ecosystem to grab all those users from Google, right? Like even today, even if ChatGPT is a thing like people use, I just feel, um, you know, like anything I want really quick, I'm just going to Google anyway.
Yeah.
So
I pulled up
Another
my
data point, real quick was we actually just canceled ChatGPT for like $60 a month as a company, and then we already pay for Google Workspace, which we have to pay for. We have Gmail and we have like Google Drive, we have all these things.
Exactly.
And so like we're like, oh, let's just use Pro Gemini if we already pay, $100 a month anyways for it.
That is why Microsoft was such a huge thing for ChatGPT. But Microsoft is like, oh, we don't want to stick around with these guys. We are open to anything out there.
Didn't they have the option to buy too? They don't like. I think that's been starting to get uncovered that they didn't like necessarily commit to it. They had like the option to go into that, right? So that's something. I brought up my my old tweet from August of last year that I said Google is going to win the AI race, just because like we got everyone's on Gmail. They're reading that shit.
Not
They're
just
able
that,
to pick
like
it up,
the way Google also evolved as a company is they were all data driven from the get go. They like Larry Page back 12 years back from his Harvard dorm or something. He said data is going to be the most valuable resource in the world.
Yeah.
So we are seeing that right now.
They knew it. So we're a little jumping around here. I think we hit on Bitcoin. We hit on the QQQ 3-week low. So this inflation trap, if we want to jump to PCE real quick, because Jody, I know you got to go in like 10 minutes or so. What are your thoughts on this? You said you're almost watching Bake in Japan more so than PCE. I guess for the rest of the week here and even into next week, like what are the massive things that you're kind of keeping an eye on from more of a macro perspective?
Nothing from the macro perspective. I think by the end of the year, it kind of slows down. Obviously, PCE, like I mentioned, Powell kind of neutralized the tone around PCE. I think he's like, oh, we might see a spike up in PCE, but then if we are not going to have any more tariffs, it's going to go down. So I think he kind of toned it down. So we won't, if there is a dip because of PCE, I think there is a good chance to just buy that dip, right? Because it is already neutralized, kind of in FinTwit terms, priced in. So so that's how I see it.
Yeah, fair.
Wait, real quick, what is your Bitcoin line in the sand? I think we hit like at 84, 82 on like a candle as the previous low, like within the last 2 months. What are your thoughts on what the bounce would be, or is the low already in for the 2025?
I mean, the line in the sand, yeah, I think, like 85,500 is definitely something that I don't want to break. If that kind of breaks, we are going all the way to 74 to 70. So I don't want the 85,500 to break. But like I said, I'm not really looking to, play the downside on Bitcoin. I am looking for, like, if you already own Bitcoin, just keep it for life, right? Like, but there's so many instruments now that you can use to, like, like hedge Bitcoin, obviously. But there's so many instruments to play the upside momentum for Bitcoin. So I'm just waiting on that trend line to break. That's how I'm going to play it.
Let's give a shout out to our sponsor over at Ledin. So you can lend against it now, and you don't need to sell, right? So like a lot of these early OGs that bought at $2,000, $3,000, myself included, I didn't hold those throughout this, unfortunately. But like if you have those, you sell that. It's a massive tax thing that you're about to get in, coming up. So there are ways that you can do it. We're not financial advisors. Everything, we should probably throw this disclaimer in at some point. Right now, none of this has been financial advice, by the way. 2026.
Those are obvious tweets. Like, yeah, if you bought Google, wasn't financial advice.
Yeah, definitely not financial. Nothing is financial. Twitter should
Yeah.
like the world should make a rule. If you're on Twitter talking about this, don't listen to people on Twitter, unless KT. 2026 predictions. Let's save that here for the end. But what any major thoughts? I know you're still bullish on AI. Do you think it takes a break, for the first half of 2026, and then
I think it's going to be second half of 2026.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we'll have
agree.
a little dip of like 2022 kind of thing. Obviously, housing is something that I'm kind of concerned about. I'm seeing a lot of builders stopping new constructions. They want to keep the prices up at where they are, because of they want to keep they don't want a surplus out there in the market. Keep the demand like controlled kind of thing, the supply control kind of thing. They know something, obviously. And are we going to get a housing crash like 2008? I mean, I'm a huge believer in learning from your mistakes, so I don't think the 2008 crash in housing will happen at all. But the stock market per se, I think we'll probably see most of these predictions come true around 7,000, 7,100 before we see a little bit of a dip back again to like 67, 6,500 or so.
Yeah. And not to go all conspiracy mode, but like, yeah, I mean, the housing is interesting because there's depopulation happening kind of throughout the world right now, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, as these people are especially with the people that, what are they called? Not Gen Z, where our parents are. Our
parents?
Yeah, our
boomers.
Parents. Boomers. Oh my God, I need another coffee here. The boomer. Eventually as they go, there's I think it's one like less than the tread line that we need to like maintain. So like they're probably looking in the future and saying like, okay, there's not going to be the population to go into these homes, which is something interesting. Any other major predictions you have for 2026? Any?
I think I changed. I think I shared the chart before where there's a nice prediction as to where the economist kind of thinks that 2026 is going to be a huge dip in the cycle of the entire market. So he has been right quite a few. I mean, he has missed a year or two here and there, but he's been quite right about most of it. So he was predicting 2026 to be a recessionary year. And also, like when you look at the second year of the second president, usually is a bad. I mean, second term of this of a president on the second year is usually a bad year. So I mean, there's multiple confluences to say, oh, you have to be more careful and cautious in the market. And yes, obviously, Fed rate cuts is going to help, but is that going to be offsetted by the liquidity crunch that we are going to have from Japan, right? Like, like it's like that. Like obviously, we see people playing chess, but then the whole economy is like a 3D chess at the end, right? Like Powell is making his moves, BOJ is going to make their move too. So, I mean, at least from my perspective, I'm going to be a little bit more cautious from Feb, March kind of time frame and wait till like October to go back longs and look for good companies again.
Any throwback to the pounding the table days? Any mini monsters that people should be watching, or any stocks that aren't getting enough press right now that you're kind of keeping an eye on for
Rivian?
Rivian, VPG. I think you recommended me that.
Yeah, way back in the day. I'm out of that. Has that been ripping?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm always early and then get out before the move actually happens.
I mean,
right?
I mean, I don't invest much at all in such, but I mean, it's a very interesting company. So why not, right?
I got that one from Penny Checks. He's good on Twitter as well. So there are some very smart people on FinTwit. You just gotta filter through a lot of that noise. All right, we got about 4 minutes left. I don't know if anyone has questions they want to throw in the comments section.
From my cousin in Duluth, Georgia. Bank stocks. What are your thoughts on them? Regional banks, market banks.
They have been like ripping left and right? Like I think Goldman Sachs sees 1,000, JPM sees 350. These are the only two bank stocks that I kind of follow. But in this whole fiasco that's going to happen, bank stocks are the only ones that are going to win anyway.
Mhm.
So
Do you believe that we're not going to see the big commercial real estate hit that we thought we would see post-COVID?
I don't think we will have any any real estate hit at all.
Hmm.
Like, will we be stagnant? Yes. Will there be no growth? Yes. But will it dip like 2008, or are we expecting a crash? About 30-40% correction? No, I don't
Mhm.
think so.
What
Probably, like, probably 10-15 correction is. I mean, we are already seeing about 8 to 10% in real estate.
What are your thoughts on Bitcoin treasury companies? Like they've been down 80-90%. I have our thoughts. We think there's gonna be a few survivors, and our hope is that they all survive as Bitcoiners. But the reality is, why not just buy Bitcoin for a lot of these companies? Some are doing accretive value on top of that, which is interesting. But like, are you looking at those at all, or have
No.
you
I
okay.
mean, I can invest in Bitcoin. Why do I need these treasury companies at all?
Yeah. They have to prove their worth, and MSTR is an interesting. Well, actually, let's end with that one. I don't know if you have a chart for
BMNR too.
MSTR.
Yeah. Go.
Let's pull up the MSTR chart, because that's the 800-pound gorilla that's now 600 pounds. That's been getting hit quite a bit. And MU we'll also get to, since there's earnings tonight. So, and then we'll wrap it up.
MSTR. You want me to talk about MSTR?
Yeah, real quick. I'm just like, what's the chart showing you?
Yeah, let me check.
They've been selling off. I think I've had it for a while, but then bought more towards the top again. So don't listen to me. But then it's come down, I think, close to 50% now. So
Yeah, I
here,
kind
I'll
of
add this
hate
to the
MSTR
stage.
as a long-term position. At least that's me.
You
Because
don't, or you do hate?
I don't, because
Okay.
this is what that does not appeal to me, right? Like, I can buy Bitcoin myself. I'm not a hedge fund. I'm not a retirement fund who has no rules for who has rules for, like, oh, we can't invest in something that is not regulated, blah blah blah, right? That is why all these companies are investing into all these like
I bet.
MSTR,
Yeah.
BMNR, and things like that, right? I don't have to do it. And the thing here is why it's not appealing to me is because why am I paying someone to buy Bitcoin when I can buy Bitcoin myself, and they're charging me a premium to hold that Bitcoin?
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, MSTR I mean, they have all these preferreds now as well, but like my big bet, I guess, on MSTR is they become a credit facility, right? And all this digital credit that's going to ultimately happen. There's upside where they're basically, I think, going to become a bank. Saylor said they would never become a bank, but
Yep.
he's had little snippets that, ultimately, if you're a public company, you have to, increase shareholder value, and you have to think about, like, hey, how are we going to do this over time? Eventually, they'll be pressured into doing something like that, in my opinion. But
No, I mean, that's the second point too. Like, why I'm not interested in MSTR. I need a roadmap, man. Like,
yeah,
what are you thinking to do? Like, like, I need you to tell me what am I expecting from investing in you. Like, if I'm saying, oh, I'm investing in Rivian, I told you, oh, I love their autonomy, and like the way they are building their company now, like their whole P by E, whatever valuation is going to switch at one point to how Tesla has switched. It's not a car company anymore, right? So
yeah.
I know that there's something that's going on. With MSTR, I just have zero clue.
Mm. Let's finish with Micron. I think they got earnings tonight, right? And they're kind of like the eyeballs here for
All
AI,
the memory.
canary in the coal mine, if you will.
Yep. I mean, this is a great company. Like, this was something that I was talking about a lot,
Wow.
a long time back. When Micron ever hit that 95 zone, it was the 2000 bubble. It hit that during the 2000 bubble, and then it hit that again, hit a double top, dipped down, and when it broke out was when I was very interested in Micron, and obviously it's nowhere near 100 right now. But yeah, I mean, it's a great company. Like, the way they are managing their whole demand for memory. Like, I remember last week, a couple of weeks back, I think they also said they are moving out of the consumer memory space. They don't want to cater to the to individual consumers per se. So I mean that's the demand that they are having. But just with earnings perspective, once I think their earnings calls are very very bad. Like once their CEO or CFO starts talking, the stock just goes down. So I mean, where am I looking for it to go down to? I think it can go down all the way to, like, if it opens under 217.50, I think it goes down to 196 to 180. 196 is where I would be probably looking for a buy, and next buy at around 180. But that's mostly it. I mean, I'm not long it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting. So thanks again, dude, for coming on. This is definitely fun, and we'll have to bring you back
Yeah,
for Midweek
definitely.
Markets as much as you can, because
Yep.
you have unlimited knowledge and super helpful.
Yeah,
I did have something more creative to say, but the thing you mentioned that was pretty funny. So when the CEO starts talking, my whole thing is wondering, like, they should look at the C-suite of like when certain people are talking, what the price goes up or down, and then they should like take a step back and be like, all right, you say like 5 words in this entire thing, because you're hurting the stock price quite a bit. But it is funny. You can hear like the tonality, all people,
the energy,
everything.
Yep.
So it's the fun game we play. But if you're not following ProblemSniper, make sure to do so. Literally one of the best in the business. And we'll be back next week for Midweek Markets as well. So thanks again for listening. And Sniper, enjoy the rest of the week, my friend.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on. Yeah. Thanks, man.
See you guys.
Bye.